Okay, first of all, I know the history behind the WNBA. I know that both of those cities have had teams before and they got us where we're at, so I'm thankful for that.
Let me take a look, the bump between Brianna Stewart and Benaja Lady Hamilton.
And I think that's a good call. Stewie doesn't give her time, doesn't plant the feet.
Catch a dime family, what you are looking at right now is the exact moment the WNBA season turned into an absolute pressure cooker. The league office wants this tape buried. They want you focused on marketing packages and sneaker drops. But the film does not lie. When reigning MVP Brianna Stewart leveled Sophie Cunningham with a bone-jarring weak side screen, it wasn't just physical basketball. It was a hostile takeover. Look at the camera angles they didn't show on the main broadcast. Look at the drop of Stewart's shoulder and the angle of her elbow. This wasn't about clearing space. This was about sending a direct message to the Indiana Fever. For those of you in our community who know that internal locker room culture and defensive grit are the ultimate leading indicators for a championship, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell right now. We track the real raw assets of this league, while mainstream media covers the fluff. Ring it so you don't miss our daily strategic deep dives. Sophie Cunningham didn't just take the hit. She bounced off the floor like a coiled spring and went completely chest to chest with a multi-time MVP, sparking an on-court confrontation that required coaches from both benches to rush the floor. Today, we are going behind the scenes to uncover why this viral moment has the entire league in complete chaos. Act 2. The enforcer asset. To understand why the temperature at the Barclays Center reached a boiling point, you have to look at the strategic ROI of Sophie Cunningham's role on this roster.
Clark, oh, beautiful find, inside for Cunningham, and one, set up by Clark, and finished by Cunningham.
Ever since Caitlin Clark stepped onto a WNBA court, opposing teams have treated her like a stock ticker they want to crash, throwing hard fouls, full court presses, and borderline dirty physical plays to throw her off her game. But Indiana's front office knew they couldn't leave their multi-million-dollar franchise asset unprotected. Enter Sophie Cunningham. She has officially stepped into the role of the Fever's premier security detail. If you bump Caitlin on the perimeter, Sophie is meeting you at the next screen with 180 pounds of pure pushback. She is the physical insurance policy this young squad desperately needed. Sophie Cunningham. Shaken up after hard screen by Stewart. Notice her reaction here. She didn't look at the refs for a whistle. She didn't complain. She immediately established a physical boundary.
Now we're going to get some substitutions coming in. But right now, Sophie Cunningham is on the floor. Let me take a look, the bump between Brianna Stewart and Benaja Lady Hamilton.
And I think that's a good call.
When you have a veteran willing to absorb that kind of contact to set a team standard, your entire roster's value rises. Act 3. The MVP frustration matrix.
Okay, first of all, I know the history behind the WNBA. I know that both of those cities have had teams before and they got us where we're at, so I'm thankful.
Now let's flip the spreadsheet and look at the New York Liberty. The Liberty are the gold standard of roster stability. They kept their championship core together, extended Sabrina Ionescu, and added pieces to protect their position at the top of the board. But in this game, the Fever were running a clinic, putting up a massive offensive showcase. The Liberty's veteran defense was completely out of options. They couldn't slow down the pace, and they couldn't disrupt Caitlin's distribution. When a dominant dynasty gets frustrated, they resort to old-school physical intimidation. That is exactly what that weak side screen was. It was a classic legacy asset trying to flex its weight over a rising powerhouse. Look at the footwork on the tape right here. Stewart tracks Sophie for 3 full steps. In standard basketball geometry, you have to leave an oncoming defender a step to change direction.
Marco, if Pauline has surprised him this season, he said, honestly, not really. He knew how talented she was, and he said the coaching staff expected her to make.
Stewart completely erases that buffer zone, bracing her frame to deliver maximum impact. It was a calculated gamble to see if Indiana would fold under pressure. Act 4, the 2026 rivalry portfolio. The media rooms were completely electric after the final buzzer. Sophie Cunningham didn't back down at the podium. essentially letting the entire league know that the Indiana Fever are completely done being bullied on the hardwood.
Well, they had me standing there for a very long time, so I was like getting nervous. You know what? Whatever. I'm just gonna go for it. They can adjust, and it turned out fine. But the crowd was cheering anyway, so it just kind of seemed like I was giving them a second to cheer. But yeah, it turned out well.
June 6th is the date our entire community needs to circle in red marker.
Fever enter the game undefeated at 2-0, full of confidence and energy, and right from the opening tip they attack the paint. Aliyah Boston gets the first touch inside and finishes through contact.
When the Fever march back into Brooklyn for their first regular season rematch, the physical stakes are going to be through the roof. The Liberty are trying to defend their territory while Indiana is looking to completely liquidate the old guard.
Game has been going so fast. We're already at 5:15 here in the first quarter. And an offensive foul on Breanna Stewart.
Breanna Stewart snaps on Sophie Cunningham.
Been going so fast. We're already at 5:15 here in the first quarter. And an offensive foul on Breanna Stewart. But right now, Sophie Cunningham is on the floor. Going to take a look, the bump between Breanna Stewart and Benaja Lady Hamilton.
And I think that's a good call. Stewie doesn't give her time, doesn't plant the feet, kind of slides into her a little bit, and that's a tough blow.
Viral clip breakdown. This isn't just a short-term story. This sequence altered the DNA of the entire 2026 title race. The league can try to clean up the footage all they want, but the physical blueprint has already been drawn.
Hold up, was this a dirty play or just physical basketball? There's a clip going around showing contact involving Breanna Stewart and Sophie Cunningham. From one angle, it looks like a hard elbow. From another, it could just be part of setting a screen. The ref actually called it, but some fans think it should have been a flagrant. This is where the debate starts. Was it intentional or just a tough play? Be honest, dirty play or normal contact?
Conclusion: the catch-a-dime verdict. Here is the ultimate catch-a-dime verdict.
You guys see that? Did y'all? And now she throwing up her hands.
If you saw the clip and thought, there's no way that was accidental, you're definitely not the only one.
Breanna Stewart tried to set a trap, but all she did was unlock the full value of Sophie Cunningham's presence on this roster.
The real story has shifted beyond the final score, with multiple physical sequences and controversial calls drawing intense scrutiny online. The most viral incident centers on a play involving Breanna Stewart and Sophie Cunningham.
You cannot build a championship portfolio around Caitlin Clark without having a physical anchor willing to go to war in the trenches. Sophie proved she is worth every single dollar of her contract. I want to hear from the strategic minds in our comment section today. Was Stewie's screen a dirty play, or was it just elite championship-level physicality? Drop heat in the comments if you think Sophie won that exchange. Hit that like button for the algorithm and make sure you are subscribed with that notification bell turned on so you stay ahead of the market all season long. Catch a dime. Out.